Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to the Underbase podcast on YouTube. Here we're going to be posting a selection of the IDW Transformer comic read-through and reviews that folks will find on our regular podcast feeds. If you want to subscribe to the full podcast, click on the links down below. Or you can like and subscribe the vids, and we'll put up some additional shows from other IDW Transformer titles, Dreamwave, Marvel Classics, and other related series. Just to note, all our shows cover every aspect of the issue, so expect full spoilers. And with that said and done, let's get on with the show.
Transmission is go. Underbase is live. Hello and welcome to the Underbase. I'm your host Matt, and I'm joined as ever by Chris.
Yo.
And Adam.
Hello.
And we're here for Transformers More Than Meets the Eye 41. I am currently in a state of shock from watching Mad Max.
What? Yeah.
Just mental film. And I believe Adam will be presenting everything in song, having just watched Pitch Perfect 2.
Yeah, the whole issue is going to be in a cappella.
If you haven't seen either of those films, go and watch them. That's kind of the message of this outside of the comic part of the show. But we will be getting straight on with the issue. And before we start, we have three covers. The regular cover is by Alex Mill, coloured by Josh Perez. Firestar raising Nautica's hand, surrounded by the other new fembots that we're going to meet as the issue goes on. The subcover by Nick Roach, coloured by Josh Burcham, has a massive statue in memoriam Thunderclash.
Pre-memoriam.
Well, yes, as we find out. And the retailer incentive cover by Kotari features Drift and Ratchet back to back. Adam, which one will you be going? Well, we know which one you'll be going for, but which one would you like?
I quite like the retailer incentive cover with Drift and Ratchet. It doesn't tick my box of having anything to do with the issue, because I genuinely dislike covers that don't have anything to do with the issue, but I just really quite like the art style and the colouring.
Cool.
It just works for me, despite the fact it's got Drift on it as well, so I'm going against two of my personal benchmarks here, but no, I enjoy that one. It's good cover.
Chris?
That's another nice crop this month. In Kotari, we've seen do some Kotari, I don't know. She did some variant covers there back at the start of the year, I want to say. Not too long ago.
So it wasn't long ago, was it?
Not too long ago, no. Yes, no, I think I would go for next one this month. I like the I like the big, simple, dramatic image, and it's I don't know why I'm zeroing in on it so much, but I really like just the two colors, the red and the blue. It's you know, it's a nice pale blue. It puts me in mind of Josh's pastely sort of colors that we enjoyed during season 1 of More Than Meets the Eye. It's a little gaudy even almost, with just like a pale red and a pale blue shouting out at you like that. Yeah, they're somehow pale colors, and yet they're somehow really loud at the same time. I'm not sure how it works, but I just like I really like the way it comes together.
I would actually join you with that one, Chris. I think it's a great looking cover. It stands out. I imagine it stand out quite nicely from the shelf as well. So, and you know, it's what happens in the comics, so I like that. It ticks my box.
Strong use of like solid blacks as well.
Yeah, great inking. Great inking. Just gets a lot of texture to it. It doesn't, you know, most of the character models always look very smooth and clean, and it gets the feeling of a stone memorial rather than.
Solid blacks were something Transformers artists just didn't understand for a long time.
Well, you got shades of black.
No, solid black.
No, you got shades of black. That's how you sell TVs.
I'm not even talking about that, though. I mean, like, back in the Dreamwave days, you just didn't do that because that was the colorist's job.
Ah, right.
Line art from the Dreamwave days was just...
Lines.
shading or texture or depth in it. It was all that was up to the colorist to take care of. If you look at any line art from that period, but it's something that we don't have to worry about today, thankfully.
Times have changed.
They have changed. It's good times.
It is good times. Good times for Transformers art as well as Transformers comics. So, Transformers More Than Meets the Eye number 41, written by James Roberts, art by Alex Milne, colour by Joanna LaFuente, lettered by Tom Belong and Chris Mowry, edited by John Barber. And I guess the story so far would be the Lost Light has encountered many a character in its quest for cyber utopia, but one character stands above all others.
I'm not sure why they felt the need to put that on a separate page.
After the Tennyson quote.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not sure why that's not on in the spot where the previously on More Than Meets the Eye normally goes.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same on that one.
Well, it's probably something to do. Actually, you know what it definitely is. It's obviously James wanted to start the issue with the Tennyson poem because that. Just for the readers at home who haven't maybe got it in their hands yet, the issue starts with a single blank black page, white text with a verse from Alfred Lord Tennyson's In Memoriam. But there's at least one double page spread in this issue.
Yes.
So if that, that's why it's there. If that hadn't been there, it would have shat the page arrangement up.
Well, that solved that problem.
Mystery solved. Oh, we're doing well so far, guys.
Yeah, we've nailed it so far.
With that, we just see a problem, solve a problem.
And we open with Firestar and Countdown. Always nice to see Countdown. One of my favourite Micromasters, I have to admit.
Someone who never gets any playtime. He was in Micromasters, the Dreamwave miniseries. And
why did you have to bring that up, Chris?
Well, because it's his only other fictional role, and at least it also did the whole thing where he was also a space hero, which is right out of his original bio too. But it feels so right here to have studied at the feet of Thunderclash and gone on and become this. There's something very More Than Meets the Eye about that.
If you can tag anything with the line, it's very More Than Meets the Eye. I think people are starting to understand what we mean by that.
Oh, I think people have understood that for a good time now. There's a tonality and an understanding there of what that implies.
So Firestar is showing Countdown to Thunderclash in his room, I guess, in the med bay. He is not in a good way. Lovely moments there that we get an indication of what's going on the ship, how much is happening. Is that the innermost energon is having to be stacked in the hall because people have been so generous. Obviously, great. We know what Thunderclash is like from issue 18.
Oh, 22.
Oh, right. Okay, 22. Close enough.
I mean, Thunderclash. I think if I didn't have Red Dwarf as a frame of reference, I'd find Thunderclash terribly annoying.
But the fact that they've just made him Ace Rimmer.
Yeah, I have to keep Ace Rimmer in mind and realize that. I think that I still maybe have that slight niggling problem in the back of my head is the fact that he's not a positive, like an evil alternate universe counterpart of somebody, He's not the mirror for what somebody else has failed to do with their life. He is just sickeningly well loved and great and awesome and everything. But I have to, what a guy.
So just,
I was wondering if we don't know how it's going to go yet, but I mean, given that I keep Ace Rimmer in mind, I was wondering if we were going with that sort of Dread Pirate Roberts style. I wonder, could that be the end game, but then we've already done that with Ultra Magnus, so I don't think we'll see it again.
No, that would be a little bit.
For the uninitiated, in the listening audience, in the British sci-fi sitcom Red Dwarf, there's a character named Rimmer, and he is a weaselly failure of a man. And a recurring character is his alternate universe counterpart, Ace Rimmer, who is just super awesome and brilliant and well loved and the best at everything ever. And then late on in the show, it turns out that that Ace Rimmer. There has been more in the Dread Pirate Roberts style. There's been more than one Ace Rimmer. They've gone from universe to universe, recruiting other Rimmers to take their place when they die. And I was wondering if that was maybe where they could go with this, but obviously we have Ultra Magnus for that already. So.
For those that don't know, Dread Pirate Roberts is from The Princess Bride, 1987.
Are you Googling Dread Pirate Roberts?
No, of course not. I love that film.
Okay, it's just you named the date, and I was like, just look up on the IMDb.
No, I just love that film. I've watched it too many times. Way too many times. Anyway,
it's more of a touchstone for our American listeners than Red Dwarf.
It's the same basic principle. The name is more powerful than the actual person.
Digression over.
Yeah, absolutely. And Countdown goes in to see Thunderclash, and rigor mortis has set in, and there is knocking in Thunderclash's trailer. And Countdown looks in and screams. Or does he?
Presumably, yeah.
Yeah, presumably he does. So, the opening sequence, Adam, Countdown, Flaming Head Firestar, Thunderclash being all grey. Love his alt mode, by the way.
Well, doesn't it?
It does.
I couldn't tell you why exactly. Maybe it's just the sight of an alt mode, but because it's rare enough. Yeah, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the subdued grade palette or not that just makes it quite striking in comparison to everything going on around it. But it really looks the business, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Adam, your feelings of Countdown appearing / what's happening to Thunderclash? I suppose we've only had one issue to kind of get to grips with him as a character, and his legacy is much more important through the series than actually what he does. But
yeah, I think that's probably quite a fair summary there. I mean, I don't really have any love or dislike for Thunderclash, but from a story point of view, you get why he's important, and it's been. The point's been fairly well driven home on a couple of occasions with mentions and so forth. So that's cool. It's a decent opening little scene. It's, like Chris said, it's awesome to see Countdown. One of the only, I suppose outside of the first couple of waves of Micromasters, to the casual Transformers fan, you probably can't name many more. So, that's cool to see. And don't know what's going on with Firestar and her weird Firestorm haircut thing, but I'm open-minded. So
yeah, I was wondering is it supposed to be a Firestorm reference? Do you think, or
I just don't know. It's just a bit weird. I'm like, maybe.
Surely they got sprinkler systems on that ship.
Do you know? I've just noticed that Countdown's medals have Starfleet symbols on them.
They do.
I like Countdown's medals. I do like the fact that he's walking around with all this bling on him, like he's he doesn't like wearing them. But he does. He's walking around with medals anyway, for no reason. So, it's fun. And it's a good little horror story opening, You look in the back of something and you scream, pans away, like 20 hours earlier or something like that. It's I'm a horror movie fan, so for me this works as a setup. And I like the fact that Thunderclash is on a almost like a MOT sort of car lift type segment as opposed to a slab, so which is pretty cool.
Chris, you'll probably be able to tell us what happened in Cycle 1022.
Oh.
Well, other than being I was trying to think what it brought to mind for me, because I know that from somewhere, and I actually realised it's the name of my old agency. So that's the only reason. I very much doubt that's a link to anything in Transformers.
That's the year they graduate. So
yeah.
Just then they don't know that it needs to mean anything more than that, because
something else might have happened that year, though, Chris. You got
someone look it up. No, nothing matches up with that.
Okay.
Ordered here anyway, but it would be sometime after the battle for Hell's Point, which happened in cycle 1102.
Anything then you want to add to this bit, Chris?
No, I think you summed it up well.
Good.
Said everything that we were going through it, to be honest. Nice to see Countdown again. Thunderclash is looking well from an artistic point of view, and I'm a little well. You know what? No, I'll save that for later on in the issue, and we get a little more with what's going on there. But the horror movie thing took me off guard. But I'll go into that more later.
Okay, we're on the Lost Light, and Nautica is reading while Brainstorm hangs upside down, Getaway is wrapped up in chains, and Skids is juggling data pads. You know, because that's what you do when you've got nothing else to do and everyone's just survived a climactic event. And we get the title, The Sensuous Frame, and Nautica's just seems a bit hacked off with everything at the moment.
I like this a lot because I like that she's just, you know, as somebody who is a comparative newcomer to the ship, she turns, why is everybody being silly today? And I'm like, this is life on this ship, look. I guess it just hasn't had time to settle in for you.
Getaway's doing cool getaway stuff again.
Yeah.
And just drops out of the chains very easily. And I don't know, is this supposed to be, oh, well, Getaway's all right, actually?
Well, no, because look what he says. I mean, as soon as he turns, well, I mean, we're kind of jumping over the conversation here, but it really is just characters having friendly conversation. You know, doesn't bear digging into too deeply. But it's like Nautica mentions that she's borrowed this book from Rung, and then Getaway turns to Skids specifically, who we know, like, and we know as off the back of last issue, Ratchet asked Skids to be friendlier with Rung, and we saw the pair of them hanging out in the bar at the end of the last issue as well. And Skids comes to his defense and what Getaway says here as well. So he obviously is trying to do what Ratchet suggested that he do. And Getaway is doing this thing again. It's certainly on a slightly less overt level than the unpleasantness we saw last issue, but he's essentially, you know, tearing down Rung in front of the guy who's trying to buddy up with him. Like it's another subtler attempt, and it's subtler because the idea that Rung doesn't set the world on fire and walks through life with a very soft tread, steal the quotes here, is quite true. We as an audience know that to be the case with Rung. But it is just Getaway, apropos of nothing, having a go at someone and trying to break up a friendship. So, you know, Getaway.
Who wants Getaway to be dead by the end of this?
I need to know what's going on with this guy. Comes in for a bump, and Skids is like, "What are you even doing?" He's like,
that was good.
Tries to reaffirm his closeness with Skids while at the same time tearing down Skids' closeness with someone else. Comes in for a bump, and Skids is like, "Get the fuck away!" What?
Nautica then actually gets in.
I'm lasering in on everything this guy is doing now because, like, I don't trust you around people anymore.
Funny that. It's only normally when he gets them alone, though.
Yeah, see, he can't be too big and noisy about it when he's around people.
Nautica gets involved with the lunacy and starts hanging upside down, because that's what you do. And we find that Brainstorm has been upgrading her wrench again. And now it's got a ravage detector on it, because that's going to come in handy at some point. It explains why Ravage is so good at stealth and how this wrench gets around it.
Attention deflectors. It's basically the Transformers equivalent of a blacklight.
And to break up the scene, there is a gung across two panels. And they question, what's that noise? And we cut to Swerves. So, we have these four together again. I mean, it is sort of two teams of two that are coming together for a scene of four. We've seen Brainstorm and Nautica's relationship growing over, well, since she came on board. And obviously, as Chris has pointed out there, Skids and Getaway have history, which we haven't really explored that much.
But that's interesting in and of itself, because obviously Skids doesn't remember any of this history with Getaway. Getaway is the only person who knows anything about that. So, again, anything he comes out with is now immediately called into question.
Adam, are you hating Getaway still, or?
Well, he's just a douchebag, isn't he? There's just nothing he does. You know, he ties himself up in chains and frees himself, and you go, okay, so he's still got like, a gimmick, and that's about like his only redeeming quality. The guy's just scum. It's for it's. I don't want to lump him in with sort of despicable characters from Games of Thrones, but it's about the equivalent of watching Ramsay in Game of Thrones. For any listeners who watch that, he just doesn't come across well at all. And I want to say that it kind of makes for interesting reading, but I just kind of wish something horrific on him at this point.
I've calmed down a bit from last month, but
yeah, well, I'm glad, because otherwise I thought you would have been headbutting the screen on this one. He's just not a good guy. Maybe he'll have some sort of redeeming moment or something we don't know about him yet, but at the moment, yeah, he's a dick. Plain and simple. But I like all the other guys in the scene, though. It's nice seeing Brainstorm and Nautica hanging out again after, the issue where they were buddying up, and it's always fun to see some more of Skids, who is always around but doesn't seem to do much.
Not in season 2, no. I mean, he and Getaway kind of had their double act in... Skids had his moment in Slaughterhouse.
Yes.
But besides that, no, Skids has been... he's been out of the picture for season 2 for the most part.
It's nice to have him back, because he was he still, I think we've mentioned before, feels a bit of an open-ended plot thread from season 1 still.
Yeah, I mean, there is mystery there still, yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the big unanswered questions at the moment, isn't he?
Hmm.
How did he get from Shadowplay Skids to wherever they found him Skids? He crashed in a ship that turned into...
Well, no, we know how he got there. We don't know. We know that he erased his memories of his time in the what was he part of? The secret police?
Whatever that was. But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But he's also lost all his memories from before, for most of his memories from before then, as well, as the result of some sort of traumatic incident.
And I suppose he's the only current in the present sort of bot that we've got with any relation to the whole Outliers type thing, which is also an ongoing little bit of a plot that's, from season 1 and then into season 2 when they were time jumping.
Well, it comes up, but I don't know that there's a plot.
I think there's more to it, and we'll see more of that.
Swerves.
Yay!
Swerve is watching Quantum Leap.
Right, no.
I'm glad you knew that, because I had no idea what it was.
And we actually find out from Ravage leaning on the bar being served by Blue Streak.
It's looking a little large, this issue, overall, I think.
Ravage?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about his crossed arms on a bar.
Casual.
Casual vs. casual, Ravage Friday. I'd kind of I'd be happy with him sitting on the bar, maybe, but yeah. And we find out through the conversation that basically Ratchet leaving, being one of Swerve's better friends, has really hit him hard. So he's basically consumed the entirety of Earth's output of media, music, art, everything. And Swerve can sum it up with 3 bold, shining truths. 1, life is inherently tragic and over far too quickly. 2, all art thrives on conflict. We valorize fiction because it helps us make sense of ourselves. And 3, season 4 of Community was a serious misstep. Well played.
But this tied in quite well with our conversation from the other day, Matt, where you were telling me to watch Community.
Yeah. Just stop before season 4.
Well, yeah, I've now been told by Swerve to get ready for a dip in season 4.
I never minded season 4 that much, but I don't think the show has ever recovered from it.
And again, this is interrupted by a gong, which is Rodimus hitting a giant gong with his symbol on it.
Of course.
Of course. To draw the crew together. What is it? It's the sweet sound of progress, the sound of a milestone being reached. It means we're one step closer to completing our quest. Right. Only I've never, ever heard it before. And
did anyone else feel instantly really sorry for Groove? just seeing him made me sad. It's like you don't get to be one of the cool protector bots making Defensor anymore.
Except for the fact that he was in the issue,
Yeah.
because who gives a shit, apparently.
And the crew assemble, and there is a lot of robots on this page. Well done to Mr. Milne for making them all, for the most part, everyone's recognisable as well.
Is this where we make Chris name them all for fun?
Go on.
No.
Who's the guy on the far left, the big dude?
Roll out.
Action
Okay.
Master.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, there's a few at the back of the
There's a
left-hand
few.
side.
I don't know who that is standing next to Aquafend, and I don't know who those legs poking down from the top of the panel are. But otherwise, I don't know who that guy next to Smokescreen is either.
No.
No idea there.
But yeah, the crew are assembled, and Rodimus is celebrating with a banner that they've achieved something. And that is that they've caught up with Thunderclash.
Which has been easy to forget that that's what they've been trying to do since Season 2 started.
And they explain that he explains that Thunderclash is dying, so it's a pre-wake, and everyone's invited. Some lovely more than meets the eye moments in here, little gags. Everyone turn to your left, shake the hands of the next person standing next to you and say, well done. Okay, it's not going to work if everyone turns to the left. Yeah, nicely thought out. Megatron's just face palming in the background for the entire thing. It's beautiful. And then Megatron and Rodimus, once the crew has been dismissed, discuss whether they're going or not. And basically, none of them want to go for whatever reason. Probably a plot one.
Well, I'm not surprised that it's not really surprising neither of them would want to go. Megatron would no doubt find that very awkward. Rodimus hated him, so...
Yes, true. So they're going to plan, and they're going to plan together. Great seeing the whole crew together, or a good number of the crew together. I think we sometimes forget just how many bots are on this ship. And also the fact that Groove and Mirage being there is a good reminder of when this is actually set in comparison to Combiner Wars.
Yeah.
James has said that More Than Meets the Eye is currently running about a month behind RID. So for anyone who is getting confused with it, that's what's happening, basically.
Time-wise, the comic's still coming out on time now.
Yes. Yeah, continuity-wise, it's a month behind.
Yeah.
Adam, as a man that's probably consumed quite a lot of the 30,000 years of Earth's stories and songs, how do you find Swerve? I mean, it's been said a number of times. Swerve's the representation of the reader within the comic. Once again, that's coming to fruition. You okay with his summation? I guess.
Yeah. I think it's. I mean, I haven't watched Community yet. It's now in my Netflix list. So I can't comment on that, but I'll take both your guys' word for season 4 going wrong. But yeah, the first two, yeah, it is what it is. It's very More Than Meets the Eye, isn't it?
Yeah.
Life's over far too short, and it's very tragic. It's almost like saying, "Guess what's going to happen in this story, up, chaps?"
And anybody remember Pipes?
Yeah, still sad.
Oh,
Still sad. Still hurts the most.
No, I don't. I could say Rat Bat, and that made Chris hurt the most.
But yeah, no, I'm all for, it's one of those things when you're reading a comic about giant transforming robots from space, and there's a lot of human phrases, pop culture references and stuff used. It always feels just a little bit weird and odd. But you're writing in justifications for stuff like we've had in other episodes, like Tailgate flying around doing Back to the Future stuff with a hoverboard, and that's cool because suddenly it's all justified and it makes sense.
There is an element of mentioning. For me, the mentioning community within the comic is very it's a very knowing nod. You know, Community as a premise is basically there's lots of pop culture references and episodes are built around shows or genres of TV and film. And More Than Meets the Eye does that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So to have it as a reference within, just very nicely done. I mean, Chris, you'll have seen more of Community than I have at this point, but it does have a very similar sort of...
Oh yeah, no, it carries on, you know, even to where it is now. I mean, I'm up to date with it. I'm still watching it. It's on season 6 now.
And Swerve very much becomes, or is becoming Abed, isn't he? So...
Yeah, I don't know.
So I mean, the real meat of this scene is going on with Rodimus and Megatron's little interaction at the end, last page interaction. Did anyone take anything more on the final panel than just Rodimus saying, "I ran out of space," with a knife being in the desk and the glowing red light? It's...
I didn't.
No, I can't say as I did, no. We've known Rodimus likes to carve pictures in his desks for ages now, so...
Just seemed a very oddly lit panel for a gag.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Nothing jumped out at me.
So, a little bit later, there's a party going on. They're at the pre-wake and everyone's dancing. Tailgate's handstanding on his hoverboard.
Look at him go.
Everyone else is just having a jolly good time. Chris, what's the music since you spotted the last one?
Don't think this is anything recognizable. I'll rely on someone who can actually read music to tell us if it's even passable as real music.
And everyone's just having a great time, except for Rung, Nautica, Nightbeat, and Cyclonus.
The wallflyers. But you notice Rung actually does seem to be having a nice time.
He just doesn't know how to get involved, does he?
He doesn't want to get up and dance or anything, but he's sitting there grinning. He seems to be drumming on... Is that...
his own leg.
His own leg, isn't it?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell what that was. Gosh, it's weird. I don't know if have you ever seen a Transformer cross their leg before?
No.
Wow, I thought that was a table. Yikes. Okay. It's an oddly humanized thing. It's hard to, yeah. But he's drumming on his leg and getting in tune with the music and grinning and everything. He's fine. He's happy where he is. It's like Rung. He's happy. Rung's happy with where he is. But Nightbeat and Cyclonus and Nautica are not. Nightbeat, quite understandable. He is essentially, I think, they're doing that. I mean, he is Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock Holmes. You know, he's that potentially autistic disaffection, disassociation from human emotion, which thus far, like with Sherlock, has just been played for comedy's sake. I'd be interested in seeing if they want to go anywhere else with it, but Cyclonus obviously just being perpetually not a people person. Mm-hmm. And Nautica is the one where it surprises you a little bit, because Nautica's always been so grinny and so nice and happy and personable and cheerful and happy to meet new people. So it's a little odd, I thought, to find her being a wallflower, and then the rest of the scene happened.
Yes. Nightbeat has enough, takes Nautica's wrench and goes a snooping. At which point, Firestar rocks up and refers to Nautica as Naughty Nautica.
Naughty Nautica. It's so British. So More Than Meets the Eye. Because it quickly becomes apparent that I'm not sure how you even... I mean, she's not naughty in the slightest. I don't know where the nickname could even have been picked up from. She is straight-laced to a fault from the looks and sounds of things.
And we find out that obviously Firestar and Nautica used to know each other. They used to live together.
She's her Abigail Endura, her best friend, and Firestar told Nightbeat she had a best friend back in back during Slaughterhouse. So I didn't. I figured it was either Chromia or Windblade. I didn't expect it to be a new character, but here she is.
Yeah.
But seems like frenemy might be a better term.
Best friend.
Best air quotes friend. Yeah.
I hadn't actually noticed Nightbeat in the background of the second panel on this page, staring at Firestar through a magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass, I didn't notice that
either. He's right there. It's just so right in her face. And Firestar drags Nautica onto the dance floor. And Nautica really doesn't look happy.
Don't be naughty, Nautica. Naughty, Nautica. Still hit the nickname.
And before too long, they're sitting down again. The protector bots have taken the floor.
It's streetwise voguing.
It is spectacular.
But where's Rook?
I don't know, he's probably hanging out with Grotesque and Mainframe.
And we just have a little interaction where we get more of an idea that Firestar is just a cow. And yeah, basically their entire sorority, as it's put, or half their sorority, Proxima, Acceleron, Velocity, Skystalker, Javelin, Exocet, Skimmer, have all turned up. They picked up the distress signal from the VV, the Vita Vista or something like that.
Viz Vitalis.
Yeah, Windows Vista, whatever.
The Viva Victoria.
And after they fixed...
I find out that so many Camions are actually out in space, though.
Yeah. For a place that's supposed to be on its knees.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of spaceships flying around, haven't they?
I thought maybe it was just going to turn out that Thunderclash had taken a bunch more Camions with him the first time around, whenever Windblade and Nautica and Chromia came. But no, they were just out in space, so fair play to them.
We find out that Firestar has become Thunderclash's first officer. And then we have more of Firestar just being a bitch, basically.
Still playing about with engines. Still a fully qualified quantum mechanic. Fucking rictus smile down her teeth, like you can hear it, you know. You're going it alone, so brave. No more coattails for you.
I think we've all got one of those friends.
Negative compliments.
And if you haven't got one of those friends, you're that friend. just
the second one.
Leave it out there for you. Just if you've just said after listening to it, I don't. You're that person. Change your life. And then, as by awkward silence, Firestar goes and starts dancing, and Nautica pretends to shoot her in the back.
What times?
But
that, you know, I mean, again, this is, first of all, you know, passes the Bechdel test, which is always nice. But it's the sort of relationship you couldn't really have with two male Transformers. You know, it's one of those sort of Hollywood female interactions, you know, the bitchy friend. And say what you want about stereotypes or cliches or something, but it's something that you just really wouldn't work so well with male character. Basically, what Firestar is doing here is not hugely dissimilar from what Getaway was doing last issue, which is that she's saying, "Oh, look at you, you're so great," because someone else said you were shit. You know, it's a negative compliment. It's negging, as it's called. But it came off as a sleazy pickup artist abuser type thing when Getaway did it, and it's just the bitchy friend here.
I'll be honest, I've just been staring at the Protectobots dancing, and is Hotspot just sort of hulking out in the corner? He's got to just...
I don't know what he's doing.
I don't know. The others are at least sort of pulling recognisable dance moves.
It's streetwise voguing.
Streetwise is voguing. It's... I think Groove thinks he's a matador.
Is he doing the mashed potato?
Possibly. But what's Hotspot doing?
Hotspot's just looking like it's hard to... Maybe the ceiling is pressing in on him or something.
He just can't stand up straight. But we'll join in.
He's doing a squat.
And it makes sense, obviously, that first aid isn't there as well, which I think is quite... It could have been very easy to just go, oh yeah, protect spots, put them all in. But obviously first aid's doing first aid stuff.
Busy, yeah.
So actually, it really works. Anyone got anything to add about some of the greatest colours you will probably ever see in a comic? I know we normally do art at the end, but by heck, I feel like I'm in a disco.
It is a nice disco palette. Every panel, and sometimes then the long panels are like set in a different colours. It's just each panel is caught at a different flash of the disco ball.
Mm. I hadn't noticed that Getaway's actually got a light coming out of his head as well.
So he does. I suppose that's probably... No, actually, I can't think what that would be.
No. Skids look leathered in that panel.
He's a little bit... But it's nice to see the characters all get a chance to unwind. I mean, last issue was definitely, wind down from the big things we've experienced, but it was, tribunals and everything. This is really everybody gets a day off.
Well,
and how things happen.
Yeah. You'd think everyone would get the day off.
Yeah, but not all.
But not Ultra Magnus, or as he is in his Minimus Ambus form at this point.
Yeah. Talos must just have low ceilings or something.
It's just weird. I mean, I suppose it's following on maybe from the last one where he's more comfortable strutting around as Minimus Ambus now.
That's probably what it is.
I don't like Minimus Ambus though. I want Ultra Magnus. Go put your clothes back on me.
So is this mini Minimus Ambus, or
no.
That's
it's the in-between form.
And he is talking to who we find out later is Velocity. Cool design.
Yes. Well, all the new female bots from the art we saw from Alex there last week, they all look well. Was it last week or the week before? Well, recently anyway.
And Thunderclash, while he was in the process of dying, had carved into the wall the map to Cyber Utopia.
Because we knew that Thunderclash had been dreaming this. We've known that for a good long time, and that's why the Lost Light was trying to catch up with him in his ship, because they thought he was their last resort to get some kind of map.
Basically, the map is the same as was projected from the Matrix, or the half of the Matrix that Rodimus had. But it was somewhat memory resistant, which I think is a lovely term for it. But this map looks more in detail and has a lovely new green circle in the middle of it. That's a recharge socket. It is, of course, it is good.
Of course, it is brilliant. And of course, we can't overlook the new symbol that we're seeing on this map as well, because that gear-like symbol was the one that we saw on the surface of Luna 1 back at the end of Remain in Light. The little speech bubble from the synesthetic spark that Skids talked to as well. This is important stuff disguised as a disco.
They're discussing actually how this is out of character for Thunderclash as well. Normally he'd just be a little bit into the future. His visions would help him see a little bit further ahead, which obviously kept him alive for as long as it did. And now that he's dying, he gets to see everything. And then someone chips in off panel, except he shouldn't be dying. Dun, dun, dun. And First Aid's there, checking over the numbers. And First Aid basically said the injury that he thought would kill him had actually been fixed 6 months ago. There's no notes on who it was. Basically, they performed a miracle. And all Velocity can remember is she was just passing through.
Oddly memory resistant.
Yeah. Average height, sort of a plain face. She was nice. She was normal. And, first day goes through it. It's got the discoloration, the smell of burning, the fact he reverted to his base shape to conserve energy. Whoever saved him, he's not saved anymore. He's the opposite of saved, and I can't work out why. And he pops open the trailer, and there's nothing there. Adam, horror movie 101.
Oh, totally. It's not more, return to the scene, from the opening scare, basically. You've had your opening scare, the actual real cast of the movie, return to the scene. You've got the build up to what should be a jump, and there actually isn't one. You go to open the door or the box into whatever, and whatever should be in there isn't in there. So which in horror movie world is usually just immediately before they follow up with a jump, 30 seconds later, out of nowhere, which then gets you the second time around. So I love it. For me, I'll eat anything like this up. Anything that's out of a horror movie, I'm like, yeah, you know what, I'm into this.
It's amazing, actually, how many of the arcs within More Than Meets the Eye have been very horror-based. There's been, I can think of at least another 2.
Well, Delphi was pretty grim.
Delphi was grim.
That was more like a outbreak horror, like, some sort of cabin fever type thing.
Well, that's my thing about it, to be honest, is that it was not been very long since we last did a horror movie.
Well, it's not 6 months, is it?
Mm.
Or it might just be 6 months, actually.
And it's not hugely dissimilar as well, with people suddenly disappearing or mysteriously turning up dead in the dark bowels of a ship, and trying to figure out what's killing them.
Well, they did tell us life was short and tragic, so
and repetitive.
Just keep dying after a very short time. Did anyone else just think of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with all the carving into the wall?
Yes! Okay, I was going to see if anyone else was going to say that.
As soon as we came to that room, I was like, Coulson's been at it again.
I think it's alien map.
And for some reason, I don't know why, but the PowerPoint recharge socket just reminded me of an Xbox 360. I don't know why. That's all I could get through my head on that one.
I love
what's up with the creepy doctor then?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Because when they said a phenomenally skilled medic, the first thing that went through my head was, a farmer's turned up then.
The farmer wasn't insanely skilled. I mean, farmers' ability to do miracles was because of what was in Tyrest's Medibay rather than...
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, you're right. But I don't know. That was the first thing that went through my head.
Yeah, I didn't think of Pharma, but when we last saw Pharma, he was getting dragged through the portal to wherever that spark was that spoke in the gears that are on that map.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. But then they turn around and say it's female. So
maybe he had a sex change.
Yeah, it could have happened.
And we have basically everyone's starting to leave. The pre-wake is over. A few people are hanging around, but Rodimus is off to the nearest Star Hub to buy some more highlighter pens. And he'll swing Balway and pick up any stragglers. And Skids is talking to Nautica at this point.
Skids is disaffected here. I don't know what's going on. I mean, he's clearly out of sorts for some reason or another. That's the point, but... Who's staying? I don't know, Thingy and what's his name?
Yeah. And Nautica feels she should stay to catch up with the old gang. Yeah, I like the way she's trying to convince herself, and Firestar just doesn't come into the...
Mm-hmm. They're not all...
They're not all her.
Yeah.
So something's obviously up with Skids. And then we have our jump.
Go ahead, before we hit the jump.
Okay.
Cannot pass this over, because I know it'll make a lot of people happy. But just when Nautica's lifting off everybody... Well, first of all, get the obvious one out of the way. Firestar mentioned a Sky Stalker, but Nautica says Sky Striker here. And I'm assuming that Sky Stalker is the mistake. just because all the other ones have new names,
Right.
and there's lots of Skystalkers already.
Yeah, that's true.
But it says that Acceleron and Proxima are a couple, and they're both ladybots. That's a first. That's a franchise first.
Yeah.
That glass ceiling is getting lower and lower.
Genuinely hadn't even noticed it as a thing.
Exactly.
It's,
Jumped out at me, though, because I know that it'll make a lot of people happy. This is one of the things that you can do now when you have more. Again, and this is just the thing. It's just exploiting the things that you could not do before without female Autobots that don't involve male-female bot romances.
mm.
So that's another feather in more than meets the eye's cap.
Should we get to the jump?
We can jump now. Yeah,
we can jump now.
I'd point that out.
Yeah, fair news. Getaway and Nightbeat are talking. Well, look, Getaway's laying down, being a jerk.
I assume this is why Skids is out of sorts as well, because he's just feeling tired the way Getaway is feeling tired here and sit in the middle of a corridor.
Reference to a broken vending machine?
Feels
Feels very Red Dwarfy.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's very, yeah. What is the matter with you? I'm resting. Why are you talking to me like a breaking vending machine? I'm trying to show concern. I've seen other people do it.
And then, out of nowhere...
Put this voice on, that's like 75% of the More Than Meets the Eye cast. So, yeah.
Out of nowhere, Ravage appears.
Looking very big.
Looking very...
distressed.
Transmetal 2 Cheetor repaint Ravage.
Very, very Russian.
Yeah. Very Russian. Sparks flying off him everywhere. They're here, they're everywhere, they won't stop looking at me, and he bolts out of the room. Or the corridor. And into a room.
What you reckon? Chase or chase? Oh, definitely chase.
And we're skipping through scenes very quickly, toing and froing, and Velocity and First Aid and Minimus finding things that are becoming very strange. In fact, to the point where they find out that Thunderclash is trying to communicate by shutting himself down very selectively and deliberately.
Isn't he a man? What a guy! It's all you can say.
Minimus Ambus can only point out that it's actually a grammatically correct message. Look at that apostrophe.
So good.
He had to reduce his lifespan by 6 hours to generate that apostrophe. I know I'm not supposed to be impressed, but...
It is my favourite line in the entire issue.
You're all blind, you're all dead. Knock, knock, there's something coming from the trailer.
That was a great moment to turn away on. And we don't come back to it either. So that was a good one.
And I love the fact that they're all in silhouette except for their eyes, and it's just, yeah.
Solid blacks, bro.
Yeah, it works every time. I was just checking if there was a date mention by Thunderclash, by Firestar, of when they arrived.
6 months ago, she said, didn't she?
Did she? I don't think she said 6 months ago.
I thought you said she did say 6 months.
No. Yeah. So I was just seeing if that lined up with anything.
Hard to know then.
Yeah.
Before, after, maybe slightly after. No, it's hard to know.
Well, it would have been before because Velocity saw her. So. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I meant, I was thinking in relation to Dark Cybertron.
Yeah.
So it would have to be after Dark Cybertron, because obviously everyone else is left already. Windblade's team left already, so.
And they're in cold storage.
Nightbeat and Getaway.
Nightbeat and Getaway. And Getaway's out of breath.
He's not well!
No, he's not well.
Hmm.
And he's got a head torch. Getaway.
Yeah, I guess that's just what it is. We've probably seen that before, to be honest. Seems like something we might have seen in Slaughterhouse that I just don't remember.
And they turn on Nautica's wrench, And they find Photon's dead body.
It is a morgue, so
Yes.
that's
It's
fine.
cold storage.
Yeah.
Um,
He calls it a morgue.
and they sort of give you a little bit of background on who Photon is. And no scars, no dents, no puncture wounds. Aren't you going to look? You love dead bodies. They're your favourite. Murders are my favourite. A dead body's just a statement.
I love that. That's a great line. I wonder if it's from something. It sounds like it might be from something, you know. A murder is a question. Who done it?
They then find Countdown's corpse.
Hmm.
His warm corpse. He can't see any injuries, but he couldn't have been dead more than 36 hours. And as Nightbeat brings the black light effectively on Nautica's wrench to bear, they see that he is crawling with something.
Ugh.
Look barnacly. What are they? Metallic, organic, something in between. They look almost like eggs. They don't feel like eggs. And they turn round and Getaway has them. And at which point, everyone who's a corpse is now back to life.
No, I don't know if they are corpses.
No, or are they?
They look like creatures.
Yes.
They look like they're space barnacles from animated style Possession and Reanimation or something. They just look like it's some kind of horrible creatures. They seem to be the same type of creature.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Maybe you just can't, it's the Ravage thing, isn't it? You can't see them, and now they're always, you see them, don't you?
Yeah. Again, it's very Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of the Meets the Eye's big on the sleeve influences that, it's like a creature that hides in plain sight that you cannot see, like an alien that spreads itself invisibly like that. It's very Doctor Who.
So, I mean, you went straight there, Chris, to Space Barnacles from animated.
But I don't think that they are, because we've done zombies already, even,
Yeah.
We've had with the Red Rust, which was basically, viral plagues, zombie stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you think this is an invading force of some alien?
Presumably, but the fact that Countdown's body's in the morgue that gets me, because that means that presumably somebody on the crew put it there.
Yeah.
Would assume that these guys didn't lift it and take it down. They were expecting him to knock on the door and say, "I'm finished," and come out. So does that perhaps imply that there is somebody on the crew in the know, conspiring with these things, whatever they are, or working as some sort of herald for them? Well, is Firestar more than just the bitchy friend?
Yeah, well,
presumably not, because it would not be like this book to put such an obvious thing out there and have it be, the one who's a little bit catty is actually evil. That's not what CI does. So it might, if it is, it could turn out to be somebody like really unassuming.
Well, it could well be Velocity.
Yeah.
Because she's been hands-on with it. She's the one that's being very vague about who did it.
But then again, to be honest, we did exactly this same thing in the Red Rust story. Wherever we thought it was supposed to be, the story deliberately led us to think it was former Decepticon Ambulon who was responsible for letting the Genericons into the base, and then it turned out to be the guy we didn't think it would be, Pharma. So hopefully we're not. I mean, obviously, judgment is 100% reserved until we see how it all shakes out. But this is just the first couple places my mind goes.
I'm trying to going through it, trying to work out who it could be or what could be going on.
For all the new characters on the cover and the ones that that we saw the art from, because there's a character on the cover who isn't even in the comic, like
two or three.
Well, Javelin is in the dance scene.
Right.
Proxima and Roadmaster are on the cover, and Proxima is mentioned in the comic, but Roadmaster is only on the cover. So, for all the furore that surrounded these new characters' introductions, only two of them are actually in the story. Probably because they didn't want to load it down with potential, candidates for if this is even where the story's going, because it may not be.
Yeah, it could be something completely
Yeah, it could
different.
be something completely different. Just my thought was, if the body's in the morgue, that means logically somebody from the crew put it there.
Definitely.
Felt like not telling, the master detective who's on the ship now that there was a murder mystery.
So the clue that I take from any of it, the two people who are ill, Skids and
It's Getaway.
Getaway. Skids, Getaway in the dance scene says, "I don't think I didn't notice you flirting with Hothead over there."
You got it, yeah.
And then they obviously they fist bump or something.
Oh, well, Skid says he was doing it too. So they've both had, so is Nightbeat.
Well, no.
Are we going down the route of a Transformers STD here?
No, I was going with physical contacts, but but obviously Skids will have had some physical contact with Firestar.
Well, I suppose maybe Skids didn't. Getaway is exactly the sort of creep who would put his hands on a woman unbidden. So could well have done that and then bumped Skids and passed it to him.
But because we don't see her touch Nightbeat or anyone touch Nightbeat.
No. I mean, Nightbeat would actively avoid physical contact.
Yeah.
The way it's like again, it's not. It's slightly reliant on knowing what he's being written to be like, to be inspired by. But yeah, like just think Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock Holmes. He's going to avoid all physical contact if humanly possible. So yeah.
So
there's still the suspicion mounts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going down that. They're the two that are ill, but she takes Nautica by the hand.
Yeah.
The big push, as you said, Chris, has been there are these new female Transformers. How about if they've got for whatever reason, a plague that only affects male Transformers?
Gosh, yeah, you could do like they could be carrying or something and it doesn't affect. But then Robert said he didn't want to do anything that like that females were like genetically different at the spark or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, we retconned that one back out in the trade, so I don't think that he would go that sort of story point.
And obviously something's got to Ravage, but
and Ravage.
I think Ravage can, if
but the animals always know in a horror movie.
Well, I mean, if it comes down to this kind of, he was upset because things can see him. Maybe he's seeing all these other things that
we know as he's the
revealed themselves at the end.
As well. So.
Plus all the writing on the wall of the, they're making, there's the scene in the middle with Minimus Ambus where the female robot with him, the one who looks like she's a racer or something, I forget her name. Velocity, it's made very clear that this isn't usual. This has never been written out on the wall before. And because I spent the weekend watching a film called Deliver Us from Evil, which was a exorcism film.
Oh, I think I've seen the
Eric Bana.
No,
in it.
Yeah. You mean?
Yeah. Anyway, and it's got written. I won't spoil the plot point of the film, but it's got Latin written on walls. And it's summoning demons. And, it has writing out the map to Cyber Utopia, done something else.
Well, whatever is going on, I feel fairly confident we'll get the answers next issue. Yeah. This feels like a little two-parter.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
So go back to that stage of More Than Meets the Eye now, where we get ones and twos for a while. Basically, I think we'll probably enjoy ones and twos for the next probably the guts of this year, up until then the march to the finale starts with issue 50.
So, anyone got anything to add, speculation aside, which we tried not to do but seem to have done again? Anyone got anything to add in terms of in terms of story and that before we go on to artwork?
I don't think I'm good.
Adam?
No, I think we've more than covered most of the story beats and speculated a whole bunch too.
Excellent. Okay, so art. We always try and give some coverage to the artist's work. Alex back on the book, Joanna back on colours. I've already mentioned.
Didn't go anywhere, did you?
No, she didn't actually. I've already mentioned how spectacular the disco scene was in terms of colouring. But Chris, what would you want to say about the artwork?
Oh, what can be said that we haven't said so many times before? You know, nice to see Alex off. And we've reached a point as well where we get good fill-in artists on these books. So, you know, if one or two issues without Alex is the price we pay to have issues of this level of quality, whenever Alex comes back, it's a price I'm happy to pay. And he's delivered another great issue. I don't know what more I can really add that I haven't said a million times before.
Okay, Doc. Adam?
No, exactly the same. The art's really, really good. Absolutely nothing wrong with it whatsoever. And the colours, as usual, are fabulous. Like, you know, you remarked on the disco scene. The only other thing I'd call out is I think all of those horror movie beat type scenes, especially the morgue at the end with the torch lights and the shadow, I think is done, you know, really well. You don't for a second not realize what the story is trying to convey with, you know, shining the torch and revealing this, you know, like horrific skin disorder or whatever it's going to turn out to be.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really add anything to it either. I feel bad because we should wax lyrical over quality artwork. But we've said it so many times before that, you know, Alex is bringing his A game every single issue that he does. He, you know, does get better as well. And Joanna's colouring breathed so much life to it and so much atmosphere to everything that it's so good you don't appreciate it because we're so used to it being so good now, which is unfair on them because they do a fantastic job every month. So kudos to them, as always, for bringing this to life. So let's have final thoughts and a score from Adam, please.
Okay. I really like this issue. I don't think it's, as usual, for me, the first sort of opening part of a multi-part story is not usually super punchy out of the gate, and it takes me, you know, a reread almost as a trade paperback, or when I've got a couple of issues into a story, if it's multi-part, to go back and reread it and truly appreciate it. Mm-hmm. I think that's true of this issue as well. It's not mind-blowingly good overall, but it's a very good entry for more than meets the eye. And, you know, I'm looking forward to see where they go with this and what's next. You know, I know that they do, you know, very sort of dark horror type aspects semi-frequently, as we've remarked, but, you know, I'm a bit of a junkie for all of that. So for me, that's a good thing. And I like that this issue does really have all those horror beats in it. I would give it a 4 out of 5. Yeah, definitely had to think on that because I was hovering with going a bit lower, but I think that's unfair. Okay. I would give it a 4 out of 5, and, you know, I'm kind of optimistic about where the story will go.
Chris?
I like that term entry issue because despite being quite heavily steeped in sort of the larger plot of More Than Meets the Eye with the search for cyber utopia and the search for Thunderclash and everything, it does function very well as a sort of this is who, well, the characters that have been chosen to focus on this issue, but they're some of the main characters in the book and season. So this is who these characters are. This is what they're doing, and hey, you know, if you've picked this up as like your first issue, then you've actually got a look at them doing something related to the larger arc plot, which almost never happens, which is why Rodimus feels it necessary to ring a frigging gong when they finally do it. That seems like a bit of a nod and a wink to people who gripe that the overplot of More Than Meets the Eye isn't going anywhere. They actually stop and ring a frigging bell to point out that they've done something. And what else? I mean, but it isn't. It's a little talky head at times. Characters just getting a little quippy with one another, taking a lot of space to say very little. Not very little, but because obviously, you know, a lot is communicated through More Than Meets the Eye that's not in direct dialogue, if you know what I mean. But you know, I'm randomly flipping through the issue here, and there's that page where Skids and Nautica talk in the docking bay, and it's like, Nautica doesn't really like Firestar, and everyone's leaving, and it's like more than half the page is just taken up with a huge big panel to communicate that, not communicate the information. It's I mean, basically picking up the issue, I didn't realize that I got that great feeling that you don't get an awful lot in comics or television anymore. I realized that it wasn't going to end this issue. You know that feeling? You get towards the end and you're like, wait a minute, there's no way there's enough pages left in this to wrap this thing up. This is going to go to be continued, isn't it? Because I've just been operating on the assumption that we'll be dealing with like single issue things for a little while and More Than Meets the Eye, but I shouldn't have, because it's always the best parts of More Than Meets the Eye are always the 1 and 2 part stories, and this just happens to be what I'm fairly certain is a 2-part story. But the cliffhanger crept up on me, which is always nice, and I mean, when it just occurs to me as well, I called the creatures very Doctor Who-ish. That's Doctor Who cliffhanger 101 right there as well. They're the second worst thing I've seen today. Credits roll. It's despite having Ace Rimmer in it, this one is a little bit more Than Meets the Eye by way of Doctor Who, horror movie by way of Doctor Who, versus the horror movie by way of Red Dwarf that Slaughterhouse was. So I suppose that makes it different enough, even though I am a little wary of the fact that we did just do a not hugely dissimilar, based on this issue alone. It could go in a very different direction next issue, but just based on this issue alone, a not very different horror movie style setup not too very long ago. So I would probably give it a 4 as well.
You have pretty much covered everything I ever wanted to say about this, and then some more, boys. Thank you very much. I am also 4ing it. First read through, I didn't enjoy it, I must admit. It didn't grab me. I think the horror movie aspect at the end came out, because it's sort of that first read through, it didn't get enough to me to make me realise what was going on. And the second read through, I was able to go, oh, okay, now I'm getting the plot beats. It felt very left field. Because I hadn't picked up on those things, it felt like it was lacking. As it is, going back, rereading it, once again, will stress the importance of rereading comics to get the most out of them. I enjoyed it a lot more and was able to pick up on the smaller details to get the hints of what was going on. Some of them aren't that small when you read it the second time. Go, well, yeah, duh, should have seen that there. But overall, it's a good issue. As Adam said, it's a good entry issue for this. It's great to see some new characters happening. It's great to have something to speculate again. I agree with you, Chris, with too soon maybe for another horror story, but I'm intrigued as where it will go. It's still enjoyable. That's what More Than Meets the Eye always will be. I hope. It's still a joy to read.
Being fair, it was like, 10 issues ago? What is this, issue 41?
I suppose it was, yeah.
It was like 9 issues ago. 8-9 issues ago. Which is long enough, but whenever it's happening whenever you only get like 12 installments in a year and you don't even go that many between them before doing another horror,
Yeah.
I think we're going into a horror genre, though. So I'm going to categorise all these different horror stories from More Than Meets the Eye in different genres to make it more palatable for myself.
As in comparison to Slaughterhouse?
Slaughterhouse, I think, is more science fiction, parallel universe. Mm-hmm. This one, we don't know yet.
But it is horrible space alien barnacle type thing.
Oh,
so
we're in space, aren't we? So everything's going to have a degree of space, but...
Well, I suppose, yeah.
But, for me, Slaughterhouse was more Event Horizon. This could be more Nightmare on Elm Street, for want of a better term. We're dealing with dreams and shadows and things in this issue.
Did we make that Event Horizon comparison before? Because that's a pretty brilliant comparison.
I don't think so. I think I had it in my head, but I never said it out loud.
Yeah, that's a pretty great comparison for Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, that pretty much covers it. Anyone got anything to add before we close this out for tonight's recording?
Make Braun appear in this, James, if you're listening. But not in this issue, because I don't want him to die.
No, I just want Braun to drop in and just punch out all the zombie things and just go, boom, we're done, let's go.
Yep, that's what I want. In fact, 5 out of 5
Yeah.
on the next issue if that happens.
I've dealt with this, you pussies, now let's go.
Brawn, zombie puncher.
It's a spin-off series. I would read that over Drift Empire of Stone again.
Yeah, but there's probably a lot of things you'd rather do over reading Empire of Stone again.
Yeah.
I have a rusty fork here.
Come on, let's finish positively, chaps.
Chris, anything to add?
Oh, I think I'm good. Sums it up.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for listening. Pay attention this weekend. Mikey and guests will be talking about gender in Transformers as an Underbase special. Have a listen to what Mikey and friends has to say about that. Also, has already gone up this week, is our Treasury Edition reviews. We go back and basically put back up our reviews of Death of Optimus Prime, RID number 1, and More Than Meets the Eye number 1. Sorry?
They're not new.
No.
We didn't do new reviews.
No, we didn't. You can go back and listen to what we thought was going to happen when we reviewed them 3 years ago. We all sound so young and fresh and not scarred. I think there was a lot of relief when we've come out of chaos and everything was better.
That's back when you and I were on Robots in Disguise as well, so that's our issue for that. And
I think myself, Dave, and Amy did Death of Optimus Prime. Pretty sure.
Or what? Wait, no, was I? Because someone's pointed out to me that that's the review where I get more than a little, I get concerned about the fact that Alex is coming on to More Than Meets the Eye instead of Nick. And now I'm like, was I on the first issue of More Than Meets the Eye? So I don't actually know that I was on for the...
Quite possibly you might have been on both.
I know I was. We did Robots in Disguise. That was our show, but I don't know. I'm actually probably have to go and re-download that and find out for myself.
Have a listen, see what you said, slap yourself in the face.
Almost certainly.
I want to see a Twitter feed tomorrow of everything you repent of from that review.
I repent of nothing.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
No problem.
Quite welcome, sir.
And thank you very much to all of you for listening. We will see you next time on the Underbase for More Than Meets the Eye 42. And go and listen to all those other shows. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Underbase complete. Cease transmission.